Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back 1% of the account's net revenue to the planet at no cost to you. There's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement, and there's no minimum balance required. The 1% for the Planet checking account, only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
The Bachelorette and Friends. From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my. Oh no!
The Bachelorette and Friends. Oh, I love a good dick.
This podcast contains sexual references, coarse language, and adult themes from the beginning and throughout. It is not recommended for listeners under the age of 15.
Hello and welcome to the Bachelorette and Friends. I'm your host, Carla Anita Matiazzo. And today's guest is Jamie Bucirde. She is a cabaret artist, a radio presenter at Fresh FM, an aspiring sexologist, and a yoga teacher. Welcome to the podcast, Jamie.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and you absolutely nailed my last name too. You nailed it.
You'd hope so after I fucking
sang it 50 times and wrote it phonetically. It's a hard one. I liked your intro there. That was quite sexy.
And before we get started into love, relationships, sex and all that, congratulations on that award. Tell us about that.
Thank you so much. I'm still buzzing from that. I won an award through the Cabaret Fringe called the inaugural Frank Ford Award. And I won $5,000, which for an artist that just goes massive. A hell of a long way.
Yeah.
And it was the first year that I've ever written a show. So I wrote it and I starred in it and I won an award, which is just really cool.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the show was called Jamie Alexandra and the Flower. And it's essentially a adult sex ed show.
Great. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I have always had a passion in sexology. I come from a family of sexologists. So like conversations about sex at the dinner table, very common. Very, very common. And it just like really created this really healthy understanding of sex for me. So it's something that I feel really comfortable talking about and I feel passionate about. Getting other people passionate about it.
Do you think, Jamie, that being open and being able to have that conversation with family at the dinner table made it less of a taboo?
Totally.
Okay.
Absolutely. It formatively completely shaped my how I look at sex now, and it's amazing. I'm really grateful that I have that because I thought that was quite normal. I thought it was normal to have conversations about sex at the dinner table at 5, and I thought it was normal to talk about sex. But the older I get, the more I realise that's not the case, and a lot of people have lots of restraints about their sexuality, and some of them don't even know anything about their sexuality. So the point of the show was to show people that sex ed can be fun and different and creative, and there's so many different ways to engage people to get them thinking about their own sexuality, and that's what the show was.
Yeah, brilliant.
I just asked these questions and I was like, you know what, and I set an intention at the show at the beginning, and I was like, I want you to think about your own sexuality when you leave and think about something called the sexuality flower model, which was what I kind of based the show off.
Tell us about that.
So the sexuality flower model is essentially this is practice for when I'm a sexologist. It's essentially like this diagram which shows, and it's like, I don't know, pardon the pun, but it's like the petals represent the different parts of our sexuality.
Sure.
So it shows that sexuality isn't this one box thing. It's not like, you are a female and you're straight, therefore that's what your sexuality is. It's so diverse, and this flower model shows that there's a political flower, so it's like it's your race, your sex, your gender. It's if you've been discriminated upon. It's your culture.
Right.
It's and then there's like the pleasure petal, so it's like how you like pleasure, how you like to be touched, like sensual kind of side of it. So it's like your senses. There's your first time experience. So it's like how your sexual experience was for the first time for you.
So speaking of the first time experience, do you then subscribe to the patriarchal concept of virginity?
Fuck no. Fuck off. Why are we getting something taken away? Fuck off with that. Like, I'm sick of this Virgin Mary bullshit. I'm so sick of it. And also, like, that just reminded me of my first time.
Yeah,
and,
go ahead.
I lost my virginity to a guy called Blaine Underwood.
Nice.
Blaine Underwood was his name. I don't know what he's doing now, but I just like that name. He sounds like a porn star. Like, what is that name? Blaine Underwood, if you're out there, it was pretty average. Could have done better. Pretty shit.
So do you think then... Okay, first question I actually want to ask.
Yeah.
What is the sex conversation at 5? What's the sex conversation?
It's more like it's to do with boundaries, and I think that's something that people are really scared of having conversations with their children about sex because they think that it has to be specifically about like what sex is. So like, you know, penetration, like penis and vagina kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, it's about expressing boundaries. It's about teaching kids boundaries and about respecting other people's boundaries. So you have the right to say no if you don't want to be touched or hugged, but also you have to respect someone else if they've put that boundary out. So if someone says no, you have to respect that. And that's a conversation that should initially be starting when you're born, you know? That's something that families should be talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what it was, and it's just kind of like just more of a broad, you know, like anatomy, like understanding what your body is, using the right words, stuff like that. So I didn't necessarily, well, I feel like I probably did it a bit earlier because I would listen in at the dinner table, but I didn't actually learn about like what sex was until a bit later, you know?
Right. So it was kind of the information of sex per se was not had until you were older.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Totally.
That's good. I think the boundaries thing is really important.
So important.
Even like in particular with little, even like you were saying, with little kids, if they don't want to hug, don't hug them.
Don't hug them. Like the creepy uncle that's like give Uncle Bob a kiss. It's like, yuck, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
You're gross.
You don't have to, mate.
You don't have to.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think for me that feeds into if you are forced to or your boundaries are ignored at a young age, that's the foundation of teaching you to not trust your intuition.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's interesting you brought that up. That's the point of my show, and it's that we're taught from a young age to like sit in our uncomfortability, and that's supposed to be normal. Even things like I bring up, you know, like when we're kids in school, we're taught that like we can't go to the toilet when we want, so we have to sit there and be like uncomfortable, like holding in a pee. When it's like we should be able to go when we want, so we're taught that being uncomfortable is okay, and that's not. We're not. It's not. We're told to not trust our bodies, not listen to our bodies, and not listen to our intuition and our gut, which also, as a woman, is the most important thing that you can have.
Yeah, correct.
Is
it keeps
gut
us
intuition.
safe. Yeah.
Fucking oath, it does.
Yes, yeah. The whole intuition thing. But it's interesting how generationally, and I think Catholicism plays a part in that for me because that was my upbringing, being Italian and French. Catholicism was a massive part of that. And how disconnected my mum was to because, and I always found this to be such a paradox in that Italians are supposed to be sensual, like Italian women are seen as sensual, passionate women, but Catholicism teaches them to switch that off.
Yeah.
So how do you find that balance? Maybe it's you switch it off when you're a mum. Maybe that's the time at which Catholicism expects you to do that as
to
a
step
woman.
up. Yeah, and you switch over. It's hard though because you're being taught two things, and you're like, which are the complete opposite ends of the spectrum too. So it's like I don't know where I'm supposed to place my footing, and I get chastised. Chastised? Is that a word? Chastised. Yeah. I get chastised for doing both. You know what I mean? It's like if you're trying to do both to please, and you're getting told off in one way or another for both, you're like, where the fuck who am I?
Go? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm just thinking back on like I idolise Sophia Loren, right? And she's a very sexy woman, and she's a mother, so she didn't switch that off at that stage. Maybe it is immigrants or migrants from Italy going to different countries, then forming that conservative side.
Totally.
Because I'm only second generation like Australian.
Yeah.
So all my grandparents, Italian, French, and Croatian.
Wow,
so it's just,
what a sexy mix.
oh, thanks,
Oh, stop
babe.
it.
Oh, thank
I
you.
hate how white I am. Damn it. Like, French in me.
Hey, man, I hate how white I am. Like, shit.
But also, like, we're told that, like, society tells us that mothers aren't allowed to be sexy. It's like we're put on this pedestal as being sexual objects for the male gaze, but then as soon as we, you know, as soon as a man catches us or as soon as we become mothers, we're not allowed to be sexy anymore. And that's bullshit, because just because you're a mother does not stop you in any way, shape or form for anything.
Yeah, I don't understand.
If anything, like, we should be fucking idolised because we've just created life. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I was talking to the boys before because you didn't meet Andy. He left just a bit earlier.
Are they the guys that own this studio
Yes,
as well?
yeah.
Cool. He looks like a podcaster with like the flannel and the beard.
So we were actually talking about, because they've both got kids and they're expecting and whatever. And they were just talking about how women are magic and men are expendable because they can't carry and bring life
It's so
into
true.
the world. I was like,
we are magic.
I wish I had that perspective earlier.
Yeah, I wish everyone did. I just wish everyone had that perspective now. Things would be a hell of a lot easier. I just want sick leave on my period. That's what I want.
Yes,
You know
I
what I
talk
mean?
about that in my new show.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't understand how we're still expected to placate to the structures of what works for
I know.
non-bleeders.
Well, think about, like, if men got their periods, we would not hear the end of it.
Yeah.
We would be hearing about it all day, every day. They would be look at them with the man flu. They'd be complaining. They would be sooky, and we're just told that we have to get on with it, and we can't even complain about it or talk about it. And that it's supposed to be embarrassing. Like, I used to, I don't know. Also, the older I get, the more that I'm like, you know what? I will talk about my period. If I am feeling PMS or pain, I will let you know, because it hurts and it's hard. And it also really affects, like, our mood and our hormonal changes are just like, it's actually crazy what our body goes through in a cycle.
Yes.
And then we're told that, like, when we go through these changes and we're either like hypersensitive or feeling really depressed or anxious, that's not okay, but it's actually so normalised, and it's okay to feel really shit for like a week, you know?
Yeah.
That's just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get, I struggle the most on the second day and then the last day. So the second day, not only is it the heaviest, but it's the ouchiest. And then on the last day, I have shithouse headaches.
Yeah.
And it's like headaches where I can't like focus properly, like visually. And
You get like foggy brain.
yeah. And it's just like, how am I expected to, you know,
Like, do things.
yeah.
Like, do normal things.
Yeah.
Go to work.
How?
It's really hard. Like, even grocery shopping's hard.
Oh my God, don't.
Something that like I don't know if it's because of like, oh, this is what my mum said. She was like, you're in your like fertility prime, and I was like, no. I was like, I'm gonna stop right there. But my boobs grow like a full size during my period. That's just never happened, and it's just started happening, which I love and my boyfriend loves. But like, I'm like, oh my God, like,
What is going on?
what is going on?
Yeah. At 24,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I went from a C cup to an E cup. And I was like, well, like I hadn't, like my weight or whatever hadn't changed. I'm
Yeah.
like,
What's going on?
happening? I don't I remember.
The boobies are taking control.
Yeah. I remember like
They're aliens.
being in like the change rooms in Myers or David Jones or something, and when the woman came in, she's like, no, you're supposed to be like, this is your size, you're an E cup. I started crying.
Yeah, you would. You just
like,
like,
what do you mean?
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. But like, I just really want to normalize like conversations about periods and like conversations about sex. And I think that that's something that we're told not to be able to talk about because a lot of men are really uncomfortable about what happens with a woman's body too. But I think that's lack of education. Like, that's just because they weren't taught this too.
Yeah.
And I think it comes like the way we're going to be able to change culture is through education. So it's like we just have to be able to if we start normalizing these conversations now, younger people will also see that that's now normalised and they'll pick up on it.
Well, you'd hope so, because I know for a fact, being like, I used to be a teacher, still like year 8, 9 boys are still giving young girls shit for getting their period.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's still a payout.
Like, you're mortified in school when you first get it. And
I used to not give a fuck, though. I used to not give a fuck. I used to be like, I'm on my period. I've got my period. Fuck off.
Yeah. I'll bleed on everything you love, little boy. You know what? I was reading something recently, which is quite scary, because I'm really interested in American culture, because my family's American. So my whole mom's Texas.
In America? Great.
So they all sound like this. They got a southern brawl.
Oh, that's really
howdy,
cute.
y'all. Yeah. So like, we're all really interested in American politics, and America's fucked. But they've just recently changed the laws now. So teachers aren't allowed to teach anything to do. They've changed history. So they're not allowed to talk about racism, sexism, homophobic stuff anymore. So they've actually just put it's like a new bill that's passed. So they're actually going further backwards. Just when you think they've hit rock bottom has a basement. And it's just,
what the fuck?
Yeah. So they now can actually get sued. Teachers can get sued now for trying to talk about these kind of things.
I don't understand. What is the benefit of that?
Exactly. Well, it's just conservatism. It's just like the crusty white men getting crustier and whiter with more power. Like, it's just,
oh my God,
some conservative tried to pass a bill, and then all of their other white conservative politician friends backed them. And same as abortion rights at the moment.
Oh, don't.
And that's coming from Texas. Like, it's actually, like, it's mortifying to see that, because now the laws are, not only is an abortion illegal after 6 weeks, and also, like, you don't even know you're pregnant at 6 weeks. Like, that's a 2-week leeway to realise that you're late. That's just ridiculously unfair. They're setting us up to fail. And then you can't get an abortion. And then not only is it illegal to get an abortion, and you can be sued for getting an abortion, 10 grand minimum. But now your partner can get sued. The Uber driver that took you to that abortion,
I heard that.
appointment can get sued. Your neighbour, if they knew about it, you can sue them too. Like, you can just sue everyone, and it's just fucked. So they have this, the Conservatives, they started this website. It's like a whistleblower website it's called like Pro-Life or something. And essentially it's like a tipping service, so people can like tip off people that have had abortions. And then, that kind of came out, and then all of these people started spamming the site with false information. And then they started spamming it with like Shrek porn. And I didn't even know Shrek porn was a thing. But they've started spamming it. They've been blaming like the politician who like passed the bill, being like, he's had 20 abortions, just all of this shit. So it's like unvalid now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just crazy. I mean, we're lucky. You know that South Australia was the last state to decriminalise abortions, and that was this year. January of this year, it was decriminalised. Isn't that crazy?
Sorry, what now?
Yeah. So
hang on. Because I know plenty of women that have had abortions here. So I don't understand.
Properly decriminalised. So now it's like you can't be, like, until now you could still be penalised for getting an abortion, even though you could technically still get them at some clinics. So now it's just like fully decriminalised here.
Mamma mia, that is fucking terrifying.
Imagine being in a place where you couldn't get an abortion if you needed one. Like, Jesus, I haven't gotten pregnant yet before. I've never been pregnant, so I haven't needed to have one.
Yes,
but like,
yeah.
I would if I'm right now. Yeah, I'd get a shmishmoshin.
Shmishmosh.
Rhymes with shmishmoshin.
Oh my God, I didn't know that about the law.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
South Australia is a really weird conservative state, because we started off quite progressive, because we were the first state that allowed a female in parliament and a female's right to vote. Yeah. We're the first state that did that, and then all of these other states followed in suit. But since then, we actually have, like, we haven't progressed the way that
we would have thought
we thought we would have, and we haven't. We're just like this really conservative state.
This is really disappointing and hurting my heartstrings. I really don't like it.
I know. It gets me, like, really boils my milk. Like, it really gets me, like, amped up talking about this stuff. Because I'm just like, do better.
Yeah.
Like, South Australia, do better.
Oh, my God, we need to do better with so much shit.
But you know what I've realised is that, like, I used to think that someone like me couldn't make a difference in laws. And you know what? You fucking can. Because in my show, and this was just after, it inspired me after the affirmative consent law bill was passed in New South Wales earlier this year, which essentially means they've changed the laws. So instead of a like no means no, you need a yes means yes. So you need like active affirmative consent to sex before you engage in it. Otherwise you can be charged now, which is huge
that's
in terms of consent culture, right? And I was like, we need that because until now, in South Australia right now, being drunk or not realising that they were saying no is still a viable defence.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, like that's shit. So I was like, cool, let's try and change affirmative consent laws here. So I started a petition on like change.org. And then I made it part of my show and I put these QR codes that links you to the petition on the tables. And then at one point I talked about consent. And then at one point I like stopped and I was like, scan them. I was like, scan the QR codes. And I was like, sign it now. And I got all these people to sign.
So good.
And that was a way that I could get people to actively engage and do things like on the spot, like tangible results.
Yes.
And then my friend he works in the Labor Party. He was like, this is an amazing, I think I like shared it on Facebook or something. And he's like, this is amazing. Like, do you mind if I share it? And I was like, please share it. And he's like, my partner, she works like I think she works for Crazy Horse or like for some of the strip clubs in their like HR or something, like in the like business side, the operation side. And he was like, sick, she'd love this too. Like she wants to get behind it. Like all the girls will sign it. And then he was like, you know what? We want to bring this motion to a meeting and try and pass it.
Yeah, great.
And so like recently it got passed.
So good.
And so
Congratulations.
Now,
That's so good.
But like, I just wanted, like, we have way more of an impact than people think you do.
That's exactly right. I was actually talking to a friend of mine on a different topic about, because I watched Incarceration Nation about...
What is that?
So that is about...
Sorry, I laughed at the name, but...
No, it's
not
fine.
Funny.
That is about... Aboriginal people being locked up and how they get treated and how the system has failed them and they continue to fail them. And as a country, we are fucking disgusting in the way that we treat First Nations people of this country.
Totally.
So from that, I was so upset watching that. And learning things that I didn't know before, as many white people would have felt
and
when
you know
watching
why? 'Cause
it.
It's not in the education. So, like, they're not taught of that.
Exactly.
It's a whitewash still.
Exactly. It's still a whitewash of our history, and that needs to fucking change.
Yeah, I agree.
And that needs to change yesterday.
It needs to change 200 years ago.
Yes, exactly. But speaking on the one voice can't do anything, I was speaking to a friend of mine. And because I was explaining how upset and angry I was watching Incarceration Nation, and he's like, "You're one person. How can you do anything?" And you're like, and my response was, "Well, that's a fucking terrible attitude to have."
Yeah.
Because if we all took that attitude, nothing would fucking happen ever.
Exactly. But imagine if everyone had the mentality that we can make change.
Yeah.
Then we would make change a lot quicker. And that's what happens when you see these big social impact changes happening, like, you know, women's right to vote, and then like look at Martin Luther King and just like all of these things where it's like all it takes is one person to be brave enough to stand up and say something, because chances are if you think it, fuck ton of other people think it too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Let's rewind a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go back to your first crush and do a little snapshot of your love journey.
Who was my first... Oh, my God. Okay, I remember my first crush. Wow. His name was Zachary. I went to Norwood Primary here in Adelaide, and he was there with me in kindergarten, and Zachary was my first crush. He was my first kiss in the playground. I actually
What year were you in?
Oh, like reception. I would have been like a mere... A petite 6.
A petite?
I was a petite 6 years old then. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I actually like dug up my old school photos a couple months ago, and then like found this photo. It was just like the class photo, and then was like, oh my God, Zachary, I remember this dude, and tried to stalk him on social media to see what he was doing now. And he's just not as cute as I thought. Because he could have turned out to be, because he was a babe at 6.
He was cute at 6.
So he could have been a babe now. No, I went the wrong way.
Oh,
I know.
That's a shame.
I know.
That's a real shame.
I like to think that I haven't peaked yet. I like to think that I'm still My peak is yet to come. Otherwise, shit. Damn it.
What are you talking about, Jamie? You're like a knockout. What are you talking about?
Stop it.
Oh, stop.
Oh, these things. This.
Okay, from that crush, what happened as a sequence of events in regards to like relationships in high school?
Oh my God. I don't know. How to, like, you know, you have your classic like grade 6 boyfriend where you don't like actually speak or like do anything, but you just have the label, and it's a really big deal for everyone. But like wouldn't be caught dead talking to him because I was really nervous. We were both just really like awkward and fumbly. So I had like a couple of boyfriends like that didn't really count, and then I wasn't a late bloomer. I just didn't really. Maybe it was just because I was awkward and had braces in school. Like
everybody has braces,
right? 13 was a weird time for all of us. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was a bit of a late bloomer. Like I didn't have my first proper boyfriend until I moved here. So I was 17 because I moved here when I was 17 for grade 12 and then just stayed. So like didn't have my first proper relationship until then. So until that point, I was just kind of fumbling my way through life and school.
As really. Everybody does, yeah.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then happened to fall in love with someone that didn't treat me very well. But like, I don't know, your first love, you don't have standards and the bar is low. So that's why you just keep going back for more. So I just I was just like, oh, you broke my heart. Really want to make sure you'll do it again. So just kept going back for like, we were like dating on and off for a couple of years. I know what I deserve. I know what I want. I actually look at, because I've dated a couple of shockers before, but the only way that I have looked at that is it's all a lesson about what I know that I don't deserve to be treated like.
Yeah.
And you have to look at them as lessons, because every time you date someone, you're crossing things out. It's like process of elimination of the people that you don't want to date.
Yes.
And I think that's really beneficial for people, and it's a really beneficial learning experience. So like, I'm grateful that, I mean, I can only say it now because it's been a couple of years, but like, I'm grateful that I dated some pretty horrendous dudes, to be honest, now, because now I just know I can identify red flags really quickly now.
And what do you do when you identify a red flag? Do you just get out of
the time of day? Yeah. I'm just like, sorry, no, I've seen this before. I know that this is really problematic behavior. This is toxic. You're a narcissist. Like, I can pick a narcissist out of a crowd now.
So how can you pick a narcissist out of a crowd? Tell me about that.
I mean, it's just their behaviors. It's manipulation. It's lies. It's like it's belittling people. It's small little things that you wouldn't notice or pick up unless you can identify what a narcissist is. Yeah, unless you've experienced it.
Yeah.
And I've just happened to have dated a couple of narcissists, so I just know now. And I'm just like, fuck off. Like, nah, sorry, don't have the time. Shia. I'm a boss ass lady now, and I'm only going to date people that are inherently good people.
Yes.
Like, if you're not going to help me grow and you don't want me to grow and you don't want the best for me, I don't have time for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So how did you meet your current lover boy?
Oh, my current lover boy.
Look at your face when I ask you that
I
question.
know. I love
him. Very cute.
I just want to say his full name out loud for the record. He's French.
That's right. That's right.
His name's Anton. His full name is Antoine Bernard Hippolyte Jean-Francois. I was like, that's the Frenchest thing I've ever heard. Like, where is baguette in there too? I know, it's so fun to say.
Very beautiful.
He's so
really
beautiful.
Yes, so how'd you meet? Tell us about that.
So we had we matched on Hinge first, actually. Yeah. We matched on Hinge first, and that's how we kind of like knew who each other was. But I just kind of like went on Hinge. We matched. We had a couple chats, and then I just forgot it existed and just ghosted him accidentally.
Right? How? Well, what? Okay, I don't know what Hinge is.
Hinge is another dating app. It's kind of like Tinder, but it's not like a hit it and quit it kind of thing. It's more like your profile. You have like more engaging questions and things that like you can show who you are more, and it's more of like it's just like a better way to get to know people. Tinder's quite like, I think you're hot, let's fuck. Do you know what I mean? Where this is more of like a, like in-depth. I think the tagline is like, the dating app we want you to delete kind of thing. So it's, do you know what I mean?
Capiche. Yeah.
Totally. So we matched on Hinge, and then I accidentally ghosted because I just get bored with dating apps.
Fair.
I think I go on them for like some kind of quick hit validation.
And then you're out, yeah.
Because it's very one-dimensional. It's very like, it's just all aesthetically based, right? So you just go on, so you're like, I want attention.
Yeah.
And I just did it over lockdown and COVID because I was like, I just need some kind of like
Interaction
with people. Anyway, so my tangent. So then I ghosted, and then we have a mutual friend who's actually an ex-boyfriend of mine, but we're good friends. It was his birthday, so he was there as well. Anton was there, I was there. But so I knew who he was. I was like, oh, there's that like Anton guy that I matched with a couple of months ago. Like, oh yeah. But I wasn't very interested on that day. Like I wasn't. Like he got really drunk and just like tried really hard, and I was a little bit like, oh, like nah, kind of thing. I just remember him just like, I don't know, like I just remember him like begging me to hang out. He just said something, and I was like, oh, maybe I got the ick. I don't know. And then the next week we worked together because he manages a spa, so I was working an event there.
Oh right.
And we just spent all day together, and he just charmed the shit out of me. Damn, like the French are romantic. Like, oh my God. I think as soon as we had some quality time together, I was like, oh, okay. And it was a slow burn, and it was really nice. Like all of my relationships until now have been quite like passionate and quite intense quickly. And this was like quite slow and like a slow burn, and I just like really got to know him and just saw this like really beautiful side to him.
Oh, nice.
And like the French are romantic, like the way that they even say things, and I love affection, like I love physical touch.
Yes.
And I like someone that isn't afraid to like physically touch me in public, you know, like PDA, not like gross PDA, but I just like hand holding and touching, and like physical touch is one of my love languages. And he just does that. He's just not afraid to kiss me in public or like,
That's
you know, hold my
nice.
hand, and he just really just makes me feel good all the time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really
I know.
sweet.
It's really sweet.
So how did you guys know that you were official?
I think that we went out one night, and I think we were both like pretty drunk and just expressed our love for each other. Like just kind of like, you know, when you get to that drunk point and you're like, I'm just going to say it now because like my liquid confidence is like up. So he just expressed his love for me, and then I kind of did the same for him, and it just also, I don't know, it was natural. Like it was just a thing that I wasn't worried or anxious. Like I've just always trusted him 100%.
Oh, that's beautiful.
With where we're at. Like he just makes me feel we're just always on the same page, which is really nice. So like with other relationships I've been, also because I've been cheated on before, so you know, you just kind of always have that edge about you.
Yeah.
But I wasn't worried at all. Like I fully trusted him. I didn't think he was sleeping around. It was just really nice.
That's a lovely feeling.
I know.
Isn't it? It's really nice.
It is nice. I love. It's like, and I'm just so loved up. Like I feel like it's gross to everyone else.
No, it's fine.
But to me, I'm in my little French love bubble. Yeah.
Before I love and leave you, do you have any words of advice for the listener?
Oh, yes, I do. I was like, I'm gonna. All right, what have I got for you guys? You never get what you don't ask for. Is probably my biggest tip. You never get what you don't ask for. So the most important thing to do is to know what you want and then go for it. And that can be in a relationship. It can be like career wise, but like, cause you can want something so bad, but if you don't ask for what you want, you'll never get it. Like there's no point sitting on the sidelines. Give it a fucking go. Give it a go.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Stop it.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod today.
Thanks for having me on the pod. This was fun. This is a really official studio and I really like it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, baby. The Bachelorette with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. The Bachelorette and friends. See you next time if you dare.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back 1% of the account's net revenue to the planet at no cost to you. There's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement, and there's no minimum balance required. The 1% for the Planet checking account, only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.